Okay, at this time we will call the meeting of the Columbia City Plan Commission, April meeting of the Columbia City Plan Commission to order and have roll call.
Chip Hill.
Here.
John Kissinger.
Here.
Brooks Langlow.
Here.
Leslie Robinson.
Here.
Nikki Venable.
Here.
Dennis Warnick.
Here.
Dan Beagle.
Here.
Larry Weed.
Here.
Patrick Seagrass.
Here. Previous meeting minutes.
Already in.
Oath to witnesses. Anyone that wishes to speak tonight on any of these matters that we have before us tonight, whether it's just to ask a question, we ask you to rise and raise your right hand, and our attorney will swear you in.
Do you and each of you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you are about to offer will be the truth? If so, answer, I do. I do. You may put your hands down. Thank you, folks.
Nathan, any old business?
No.
Okay. New business. 26-C-REZ-3. Elmer Shrock, R1 to R2. 304 North Main Street, Columbia City. Nathan?
Thank you, Mr. President. So let me get to these slides. And I will say that the staff report was rather in-depth for this one because there's a lot of different moving parts potentially with this in terms of application of the zoning code, both in use and development standards. So I will do a high-level overview of the staff report, but feel free to ask additional questions because again, I know it's kind of deep. So this is 304 North Main Street. It is currently zoned R1 single family residential, as is most of the area of town between North Street and Jefferson Street. This parcel is approximately 10,160 square feet, give or take. It is mostly comprised of the north half of lots 5 and 6 of block 5 of the first addition to the town of Columbia. However, there is one small notch that was taken out of that north half and deeded over to an adjacent parcel on the south half of lot 6. The existing residence on the property is pre-1900. The assessor's records say 1880, I believe, but it is definitely pre-1905. At some point in the past, it was converted to 3 or 4 apartments. Definitely prior to the current code. It's my understanding and presumption that occurred prior to the adoption of zoning entirely in the city, but I do not have evidence either way on that one. Importantly, the prior owner did not use the apartments separately, and per the BZA, and that was an appeal to the BZA back in 2018, they made the determination that because the prior owner did not use the apartments separately, it removed the legal nonconforming status of being multifamily. So that's the pass to this. The request then is to rezone to R2 two-family for the express purpose of using the dwelling as a two-family dwelling. It's my understanding that the petitioner has already removed structurally the apartments, at least 1 or 2 of the apartments, to make this effectively 2 dwellings rather than the 3 or 4 it used to be. And now the request is to make the zoning match what the structure is currently. You can see there the table with the current zoning. It is R1 to the north and east. South is a mix of R1 immediately to the south, LB and R3 as you go farther south, and west is similar, R1, LB, and R2 as you go west and southwest. Mostly residents surrounding the area, however, you do have the museum, church, and funeral home, and a couple businesses within a couple blocks as well. So highlighted in blue is the subject site. This is, again, in the first edition, which is second oldest subdivision in town. slightly closer view, you can see the notch that was taken out, and it's owned by this petitioner or neighbor. The as platted lots, this would have been lot 6, and this would have been lot 5. But when these houses were built, they were reoriented east-west rather than north-south. Oblique view give you a perspective from the west. One question that did come up among a few comments early on was whether there was enough parking here, and you can see in this case that there is room already off of the alley for 5 parking spaces per code, and being if this was passed and this was used as 2-family, there would be 4 spaces required, 2 per unit. So there was at least 5 spaces available here, possibly 1 more back here beside their mini barn. The zoning map, again, the lightest yellow is R1, the medium yellow is R2 there to the southwest, orange is R3, and then pink is LB, and as you go farther south is CBD. You'll note that there is this one outlier of R3 here, and I do mention that as one of the instances that I could find in town where the zoning was definitely a single parcel was rezoned to match the actual use rather than the overall zoning. Closer view again for reference. Comprehensive plan, note that this is still the 2015 comprehensive plan. There is a pending plan update, which you will actually be seeing next month, so anticipate a May meeting. So I don't have to remind you of that at the end of the meeting. But highlighted there in blue is the location of this site, with this being a little bit closer. The yellow area is quote-unquote low-density residential. The orange areas are, again, quote-unquote medium density. And we've talked about the distinction between what is low density and what is medium density. It doesn't really line up with the zoning districts exactly. Some places medium density is R3, some places medium density is R2, and maybe even R1 at times, and the opposite can be true as well. So there is definitely some interpretation that might be able to be made, although this is definitely still solidly in that lower end of the recommended density. Unfortunately, the current comprehensive plan doesn't give much indication as beyond density, and that terminology is low and medium, so we don't have any further guidance as to whether these are supposed to be single family, whether these should be a mixture, any lot standards, and so on, which leads to a lot, as I said, of the bulk of the staff report is that discussion of what should be, could be appropriate in terms of application of zoning here. So generally R1 zoning in place in 2015 was designated as low density in the comprehensive plan. R2 was either low or medium density. R3 was typically medium density, but again, there's examples of not always lining up. So even though this was zoned R1 with a low density marker in the comp plan, the existing density and the character don't always line up with the zoning or the plan, particularly this historic area or historic areas surrounding downtown. The pending comprehensive plan does have some additional text recommendations at least, and the map does have an additional category or 2 that will help address that in the future, but we're not there yet. So you can see in the table for reference, this is similar to one of the more recent rezonings we saw when we talked about the appropriateness of R1, R2, R3 for a case. But you can see there, I'll just jump down. You can see the different lot standards that are in the code, but I'll jump down to the bottom line, which is the maximum gross density. So R1 being only single family, you could have up to 4.4 units per acre gross. R2, if you use two family dwellings, you could get, or excuse me, if you did single family in R2, you could get 5.12 units per acre, and if you did single family in R3, you could jump that up to 6.22. If you did two family in R2, that jumps up to 10.25. Two family in R3 is 12.45, and the same carries forward for multifamily in R3. So it gives you a layout here of the various densities, again, because we're looking at the conference plan's lower medium density recommendation as well as what the density is of the surrounding area. That's why I give this to you. So looking at the surrounding area, basically I just figured out what the densities are currently of each block surrounding the subject site, which the subject site is right here. So just starting with that one, currently there's approximately 20 dwelling units on 3.88 acres, which yields about a 5.15 unit per acre density. If we add one more unit with this rezoning, that would make it 5.41 units per acre. And comparing that to single family or two family zoning, you'd be right. It doesn't line up very well, but it would be somewhere in between here. It's definitely not the R1 density of 4.4 acre or units per acre. And you'll notice that most of the other blocks in the area also do not go down. Despite it being R1 zoning, they all have units per acre greater than that 4.4 units that you would expect if this was built out to the lot standards of R1. And that's because many of these lots are smaller than the 10,000 square foot minimums of R1. You'll note that this one down here, which is zoned R3, does have the highest density of 7.3 units per acre. But this one up here, which is zoned R1, has a density of 7.17 units per acre. And then you have down here far lower density because you start getting businesses and non-residential uses involved as well. So all of that is to give you a perception of the density. If we're using density as the criteria, it gives you a dense indication of what the overall density of the area is, and then a relation back to the zoning districts. So going into the overall criteria, I have talked about the conference plan, conditions and character of the current structures. While most of the area is used as single family, there are a handful of exceptions. In that map area, I found about 3 different parcels that are more than 1 unit that I could identify at least. I don't know about instances where someone might be quietly renting out a room or something. So overall, it is single family. However, this particular property historically has been more than 1 unit. So you do have the history of this as well. Being most desirable use, residential is definitely desirable. The number of units, I leave that up for your debate. I will say, if you have a concern about Main Street being a particular character, if you have concern about Main Street being reverting or going back to as built, so most of these homes, if not all of these homes in this area along Main Street, were built as single family. So if that is your idea of the character and desirability for Main Street, then R2 may not be the appropriate zoning. However, if it's more of a flexible, diverse character, then this request may be more appropriate. I will say that the property values throughout the jurisdiction, again, this says throughout the jurisdiction, the difference between 1 unit and 2 units on this particular property will not make a huge difference throughout the jurisdiction. To the immediate property owners, perhaps. To the degree that it has effects on the surrounding properties, it very well could have some impact. Whether that's very substantial or not, again, because of the historic use of it, and this actually being fewer units than the historic use, it may not have a substantial impact, in my opinion. And then finally, growth, responsible growth and development. That's where we talk about, typically talk about having utilities, traffic impacts, and so on. And again, this is already developed, so most of that discussion doesn't really apply too much. I will say under that category as well, there was some concern brought up to staff about the idea of rentals being here. I noted in the written staff report that a bill that was just passed this legislative session, HEA 1210, we can still make some determinations and policies based upon being rental or owned properties, but after July 1, that will be verboten. So I would recommend, while rentals can be part of your discussion, that shouldn't really be a determining factor in a decision or recommendation. So unless legal counsel wants to tell me otherwise. So again, I know that was a long summary, but the written staff report's even longer. So any questions for me?
Okay. Petitioner, have you come up and present?
Elmer Shrock. Address, my residence is 0765 West, 050 North, LaGrange, Indiana. Good evening, everyone. Some of you are familiar with this case. I guess my first, I would like to know if I have a chance to rebuttal any false statements made following my introduction of this proposal. Because I've been, in the past, I didn't have a chance to come up and rebuttal false statements that were made. I don't know if I have a chance or not, but I hope you grant me the time I need to go through this. In the fall of 17, I approached my realtor, Kimberly Slusher, about the property, North Main Street, having become available on the market. She, just months prior to this, I had purchased 703 East Jefferson property, which was condemned for 5 years prior to me purchasing it. Everyone in the neighborhood was very complimentary of what I was doing and had done to the property. It was in the final stages of completion and about to go on the market when I bought 304 North Main Street property. I love the historical aspect of this property and the beautiful work in it, despite the fact it needed a tremendous amount of work. This home was built in 1880 by Dr. Kitcart. It was built and designed for separate living quarters for him and his butler. It would be what is known and recognized today as a duplex, also known and identified as R2 zone property. So from the get-go, the layout of the home and the usage was for at least 2 separate living quarters. Eventually, someone established 4 kitchens within the home and was being used for 4-unit occupancy. The only reason I purchased this property was because Kimberly was able to provide me with a letter that was provided to her from the city by Nathan confirming the current zoning to be non-conform. Kimberly had requested the letter confirming or clarifying on the current zoning for listing purposes. Kimberly had told Nathan what Stacy, the current owner's daughter, was living there at the time, had told her, which was that there were 4 apartments and 3 meters. So even Stacy acknowledged that it was being sold as such. Let me reiterate, that letter provided by Nathan was what sold the property to me. You know, I would not have touched it had it been stated any other way. I have a copy of this letter available if anyone needs it. It was established October 13th of 17, just prior to the house going on the market. I purchased this property a month later on November 20th. A month after I bought it, a petition was filed December 22nd by a neighbor regarding the zoning. I received a letter in the mail informing me of the petition, and there was going to be a public meeting held January 8th at 7 p.m. Me and my agent Kimberly and some of my friends showed up just to find a note on the door stating that the meeting had been changed to the 9th. Me and my agent Kimberly and some of the friends, they didn't even bother contacting me or Kimberly to notify us to change the schedule. Not even a quick phone call to me. Some of us drove over an hour and then back home, spending over an hour, at least 2.5 hours of our time unnecessarily. The next evening, January 9th, our case started off, Nathan introducing it as such. This is regarding a property located at 304 North Main Street, which is zoned R1, single family. Yet just 2 months prior, he provided a letter stating otherwise, that it's non-conform zoning status. Seems contradicting to me. I don't see how it can be both. A few sentences later, he stated, of these 3 apartments, only one was actually being occupied. It was effectively a single family dwelling because there was only one family living there with 2 apartments still in place. So, in my opinion, it was improperly introduced because there were 4 apartments and there was evidence of them using at least 1 or more rooms throughout all 4 of the apartments. I saw this myself when I walked through the house prior to purchasing it. While in discussion with the board, Nathan did say, and again, based upon our past practice, it's been that even though it's vacant, doesn't necessarily make that it's no longer legal, non-conforming. And yes, there was evidence of some form of remodeling going on. Of course, Stacy, the daughter of previous owner that was living there, was conveniently not present in the meeting. However, the neighbors were there with a lot of contradicting and discriminatory statements and just flat out lies under oath, which didn't seem to be questioned, but instead just assumed as being facts. For instance, one even mentioned the fact that the house still had original knob and tube wiring. Yet there was public record of a permit having been pulled in 1997 to redo the old wiring. And I have record of the meetings that took place regarding this petition, and word for word for what was said. I have it all right here and highlighted. I couldn't touch on all of the lies that were said tonight. It's unfortunate, but there were many lies. The board of council came to the decision that me and the 6 neighbors that filed the petition need to get together and try and resolve it, and we meet in 30 days for another hearing. As the opposition party was leaving, they made no effort to acknowledge me or try to start a conversation resolving our differences. Me and my agent Kimberly decided to schedule an open house on January 20th at the 703 East Jefferson Street property, so as to maybe be able to try and resolve this matter as the board of council had requested us to do. Kimberly mailed invitation to all 6 of them. Only one showed up. She asked a friend of hers to take her and attend the invitation that she received from us to look at the before and after photos and the transformation that took place on this property, and to speak to me on this matter. She did not want the other neighbors to know that she was there, and that's why she showed up in her friend's vehicle. She informed us that we had a battle on our hands because some of the neighbors were persistent and determined that the non-conforming zoning is going to be changed to residential. I spoke to Nathan after the meeting, questioning their lack of effort to inform me of the meeting having been rescheduled, and I totally expected for them to follow up and provide me with a letter in the mail or a phone call to inform me as to the date and time of the second meeting, which they never did. I ended up calling them on February 6th to find out what was going on, and that's when I was informed that the meeting was that night. Of course, on such short notice, Kimberly wasn't able to attend. Had I not called, I would not even attend at that meeting. I don't know, maybe it was just intentionally. Seems to me I should have been notified of such an important time and meeting taking place. So even after one of the board members mentioned the fact that in the 26 years he was the member, they had never taken a non-conform property and made it residential. Yet that's exactly what they did. There is no record of any discussion on whether this should be rezoned to R2 or not. Yet, as I initially said, the house was built for 2 residents and was being used for 4 apartments. For this reason alone, it should be R2 zone, in my opinion, at minimum. I done everything I said I would, and then some, regarding improving the property and making property improvements. I've invested well over $100,000 in improvements alone. I have eliminated one of the 3 electric meters and condensed it to 2 meters. As everyone knows, one of the first things I did was pour a big concrete pad for parking purposes to get vehicles off the street. I initially intended to fix up the barn, but after having experienced a lot of financial setbacks regarding this zoning matter, I chose not to invest more money in the barn. Me and my wife took the barn down and hauled the lumber to our residence and built a new building with those beautiful old hand-hewed beams and the rest of the lumber that was usable. A few years ago, I put up a sign for sale by owner for a while, but it didn't go anywhere. We listed it 5 months ago with Kimberly, and we reduced the price twice, but still no buyer. The layout and the construction of this house including the market, is demanding for an R2 zoning. Anything short of that is inappropriate usage of this property, in my opinion. Because of these reasons, we are asking that R2 zoning is granted so that the property can be used for what it was built for, like the doctor and the butler had been using it. If anyone has any doubt as to my request that this property will require such zoning, I would encourage you to schedule a walkthrough and see it for yourself. In fact, it's on the MLS. You can go and check it out there. The 3 kitchens are still intact. I eliminated the 1 kitchen that they had started eliminating. I don't know what their plan was, but the whole house was being occupied at the time in some form. And me and my wife have done tremendous amount of improvements to this property. Everyone, even the neighbors, cannot deny this. I recently had a home inspection done on it, and there was no concerns regarding the property other than I was told it needs a new roof, even though it doesn't leak, which I knew that was going to be one of his things to write up on. But electrical wise, all of that stuff, there was no concerns. And I may even throw this in yet. I mean, I think it appears that it falls within the density required. You know, I think the lot's big enough for R2. Yeah, I have subpoenaed the hearing of the meetings, and I went through it all. Everything's in here. I had hired an attorney. We appealed it, and then just before we go to trial, the attorney quits on me. He retired, but he still has an office today. So the whole thing is a joke. He walked away with 20 grand of my money. I'm just looking to get some money back on this property and being able to sell it for the use that it requires to be. And I believe if it's R2, we may be able to find a buyer for it, and I can move on and forget about this idea of fixing up properties in Columbia City. You know, I thought I was onto something back then, but It just didn't turn out very well for me.
Board, do you have any questions for Mr. Shrock?
I guess I have one. So you're wanting it for 2 units,
Yes,
not 3 or 4, just 2.
just 2. I even eliminated the third meter. I've done diligently everything I can to prepare this property to get at least 2 units functional. And yeah, like I said, I'd encourage anyone to look at the property, the house, and yeah.
Are there separate entrances?
There's numerous entrances. Yes, there's
I was just
actually.
looking at it on. the
Yeah,
west,
there's
like-
the one door I screwed shut. I don't want that to be an entrance, you know.
Don't let the fire department know that.
Well, there's other doors to that room. There's 3 other doors to that room. And yeah, there's 2 regular functioning entrances.
So you said there's still 3 kitchens?
Yep.
And that's your intention to leave the third?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. I mean, I spent so much money and time. There isn't a square inch of the house that I didn't touch. I mean, I refinished the wood floors. I brought it back to closest to its originality that I could and think that it was possibly. I even found the old wooden columns that were used on the front porch prior to them putting windows in it. And I was thinking of doing that at one time, but that quickly got exited, you know. It's beautiful woodwork in there. I removed the wood, I refinished it and everything. Every square inch of that house has been finished. I spent over 10 grand just in resanding and refinishing the hardwood floors, the original hardwood floors. If no one else is proud of it, the old doctor would be, you know.
Sure.
I like, you know, I bought over a dozen properties in my lifetime, and I've always made tremendous improvements on the property, which, you know, property taxes indicate that, and that revenue goes somewhere.
Any other questions, board?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll open up the public comment portion of this. If you are in favor of this project, please come forward, state your name and address.
Evening, Kimberly Slusher, 181 North Lexington. I happen to be Elmer's realtor. If you love Columbia City and the history as much as I do, I've lived here almost my entire life. You have to take time and go through the house. The history of this home is phenomenal. Elmer has done an amazing job. I listed it the first time when he purchased it. At the time, it was in disrepair, to say the least. Elmer was the perfect buyer for it. He found the hidden staircase. He took off every single step, cleaned it up, sanded the floors. The pocket doors work. The beveled glass, the original beveled glass is there. The original woodwork throughout the home. It's beautiful if you like the history. When I did list it the first time, that owner told me that the home is meant for multiple apartments. She showed me where each apartment was, and if you go through it, you can see that you had to be shown where everything was because of the layout. She showed me where everything was. When I listed it, I did reach out to Nathan, and he did provide the letter that it was, in fact, an R2, which I provided to Elmer, and you know the rest of the story. As it sits now, trying to sell it, it has been approximately 5 months, and I truly believe it would be better off having 2 separate units in it than 1, because there are 2 meters, because there are multiple kitchens. Anybody that goes in there to buy it as an R1, a single family home, they know they're going to have to do work just to take out all the kitchens that are there. An R2 with the parking pad that is there, I think would be a phenomenal use of that home. Elmer could potentially sell it much easier, I would hope. Yeah, that, in my professional opinion, I think would be a much better use than trying to force it to be a single family home the way that it sits.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone opposed? Please come forward. State your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Gary Kessie. I live at 107 East Jefferson, and I'm right adjacent to Elmer's property. We share a line. Don't know exactly how many feet, but I have concerns. Now, I've lived there for 26 years with this property and seen a lot of people come and go. I have. And sometimes there's been a lot of kids, and there's no problem with that. I love kids. Usually the houses in town are spaced out pretty well and some room. But I want to just show one picture. This is one picture of Elmer's house over here, and the neighbor, Sue, who's sitting right back there. And I'm not sure I could even squeeze through there. But as you can see in this picture, that's my storage shed, Sue's house, and Elmer's house. They're all very close. And what we've noticed is a lot of traffic and a lot of kids running and in the alley. And people drive through our alley, and they've done it for years, way too fast. I'm just, thank God, no children have been hurt. But we see cars go through there 20 and 30 mile an hour. It's scary. And if you just have more kids, it's more options for a disaster. But probably the biggest thing, I'm terrified of a fire. I've just always been that way. If this house catches on fire, or this house, probably all three of them are going to go. I'm not an expert in it, and I'll admit it. But look how close these houses are. And if one started good, it's going to take out 2 or 3 of them. And I'm not saying that's Elmer's fault or anybody else's fault. I'm just saying my house is 100 years old. Elmer's house is built in 1880. I'm not sure about yours, Sue. 1907. Old houses. I can't verify perfect wiring in all these houses, but it has to be considered. When you have plenty of space between houses like around Columbia Parkway or other places, it's not much of an issue, but these are old houses tight together. So I think we have to be smart in the population, and that was an excellent speech on density. That was excellent. People don't think about that. So I've talked to all of our neighbors around there, and they all agreed, and they were all so much for it, especially Vince Judy right across the alley, but his wife went to the hospital today, so he's not here. Sue's here, and she's the only one. The others said they were coming, but they didn't. So that's pretty much our position. I've talked to neighbors. They all agree, which all you got right now is my word on it. But we would love to see his nice home that he put together, and I've been in it, I've seen it. And I think it's great from the historical standpoint of the restoration. That's fabulous. I just would love to see one family, I don't care if they have 5 kids, you know, but we've had like 7 kids out there running all the time. And traffic is an issue in our kind of a tight neighborhood. So, anyone have any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Anyone else to speak against? Okay, hearing none, at this time, I'll close the public portion. And board, for your discussion.
Mr. President, per the rules of procedure, the petitioner
Oh, I'm
does have
sorry.
the opportunity for
You're right.
rebuttal.
You'd like to rebut anything there?
Thanks for granting me that.
Sure, you have 5 minutes.
I checked into what it would take for me to go the historical way and maybe get some funds to try and bring it all back to life. And I was told that I can't because it doesn't fall into the historical district of the town. And yet I see, I seen homes out in the country on farmland that are deemed a historical marker, So I never got anywhere with that. I mean, every which way I turn, it just, and my house is just as big a risk as burning down as Gary's is. Where's the fire starting? I mean, I can't help it. I mean, why is my house to be the subject of the conversation about concerns of fire? And record indicates that my house was there first. So I don't know why, the other houses weren't there when my house was built there. And yeah, I just as far as kids, I had tenants in there part of the time while I owned it, but I don't think Gary can deny the fact that the property has been taken care of very well. Initially, when I bought it, they had, like I said, made discriminatory remarks as if I didn't have the means to upkeep the property or improve it, and I proved them wrong, and yeah, the lies that were spewed, like I said, I have everything right here, and I'll gladly hand it over. In fact, there's record of it, I can hand this over to you guys, and if that's what it takes for you to make a decision, I'll gladly give it up. I'm just ready to, like I said, I'm ready to get what I can out of it. I'll never get the money back that I've invested, but I sure tried to do what was right. And I guess I was totally surprised that it came down the way it did, having been ruled R1 after having been informed that it's non-conformed. And if you know the whole truth of it all, you couldn't help but give me the R2. I'm not looking for pity. I'm just looking for common sense here. It seems like too much something political was taking place or something. I don't know. Maybe the neighbors know people in the town that have some pull or something. I don't know what's going on, but it's totally abnormal. As Nathan had mentioned, the property itself is unique in that sense, and then you have that in mixed with it, and then just the way everything went, I constantly found myself being thrown under the bus, and I'm just looking to get out while I'm alive.
Thank you. Board?
Well, it sounds like this thing is a mess from years ago. That things were misconceived and not taken care of way before all of us was here. And I respect your concerns, especially with the closeness of the homes, which that's honestly in the old areas, that's where it's at. I mean, all the homes are stacked right on top of each other. And I respect the kids. I mean, well, if you got a house that size, you're going to have a lot of kids, family with a lot of kids anyway, probably. Always concerned with rental properties is, how well they're kept up. That was one of my concerns with any rental properties, because I get those phone calls being on council, uncleanliness, they don't respect the property when they rent them out. Unfortunately, that's the way that happens. So that, for me, that would be one of my concerns. I mean, honestly, it fits. I think he's got a good plan there. It's just, whoever buys it, how well is that maintained? That would be one of my concerns is the maintenance of the property. I think all old homes are beautiful. We don't put woodwork in them like we do now, but yeah, I don't know. I think everything makes sense. I just have concerns of the upkeep, and there's no way to predict that. There's no way to predict that kind of a thing. I'm just throwing it out there where, I don't know, I'm weighing it a little both ways myself, I guess. I'm wanting to hear from somebody else.
Nathan, you were showing that there's going to be an update to the comprehensive plan or the land usage, and you showed the blue circle. Does this fit in that blue circle?
Well, the blue circle that I showed was the current comp plan. So that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the pending comprehensive plan, rather than having a very big yellow area, it adds another district in there that helps to define more historic areas and saying this is a different treatment. So still doesn't give a lot of definition, still leaves it somewhat open-ended, but it does start to indicate that there's a difference between this, say this area versus other R1, Deer Chase, for example. So
does that area increase density usage, or does
it being historic? Yes, it would be expected that density would be increased. So yeah. But I have to say too, that's pending.
Yes,
Your criteria is the currently adopted version.
I got a question, Nathan. I don't know if it's a misunderstanding on zoning, but the zoning's never changed on that, right?
Correct.
Since we've had zoning. It was just R1 and it was non-conforming in R1.
Correct. It was legal non-conforming. The certification letter does say it was legal non-conforming, which was alluded to, but yes.
Okay. And then there was a comment in the staff report that it would be possible to put 2 units on there with a variance, another dwelling, or not?
It would,
if it was zoned R2.
If it was zoned R2, the only way that you would be able to add another unit beyond the 2 that are proposed in this structure would be with a variance, because you would not have the minimum lot area. Basically because you wouldn't have the minimum lot area, but then you potentially wouldn't have minimum lot width, several other multipliers to that. So at 10,000 square feet, R2 does allow for this to be split 2 ways. As you can see here, minimum lot area of 8,500 square feet, minimum area per unit of 4,250 for 2 family. So you can't add a third dwelling into that 10,000 square feet and still maintain compliance.
Are we able to make a motion, let's say for R2, but to restrict it to the 2 units where it would not be subject to exceptions for special exception or anything?
You could have that as a recorded zoning commitment. However, because that is what the code says, I'm not sure that that would necessarily be necessary.
Okay.
Third one, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just, yeah.
I mean, you have to come back against the
right, but if you're gonna give them a special exception, that'd be on your house. So.
But we'd also be in that same situation of spot zoning again.
Then we'd be in a non-conforming issue.
Correct. And as a commission, are we in the position to overturn what another board has already stated?
So determination of the BZA was that the nature of it, and not to, again, things were alluded to, the nature of the appeal was that the legal non-conforming status, which I had certified, was based upon the structure being divided into 3 or 4 apartments.
Mhm.
The board's determination was the structure doesn't necessarily determine use. How the structure was being used was by one family, therefore it lost its legal non-conforming status. So what he's proposing tonight is to change the zoning to match the structure. So it's not going against the board, it's actually working with their interpretation, in my opinion.
Board, what's your pleasure?
So,
Motion.
Mr. Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was your question on whether a second unit could be built, or?
That only could have the 2 units and there was no, you could not have.
Well, it's only one unit.
Well,
I guess it's one residence, not one building.
it's one building, but it has the 2 units. It's in the R2. But then that they could not come, whoever owns the property could not file for afterwards for a special exception in an R2.
So I guess, yeah, for my clarification, R2 only means 2 units.
Correct. You can have single family.
R3 would mean, if it was three apartments, it would have to be an R3.
Correct.
Okay.
To be fully zoning compliant, fully compliant with the zoning use.
Okay.
Lot standards, as we've talked about, don't match.
It says here in the first paragraph, the requested zoning is R2 for 2-family residential to allow for building to be used as 2 dwelling units. Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that 26-C-REZ3 be given a favorable recommendation for the status of proposed zoning of R2 for only 2-family residential units with no exception.
I'd second that motion. Any further discussion? If not, signify with your right hand. I'm sorry, back up. Let's have a roll call vote, please. It's easier.
Sheffield,
Yes.
John Kissinger,
Yes.
Brooks Langlow,
Yes.
Leslie Robinson,
Yes.
Nikki Venable,
Yes.
Dennis Warnick,
Yes.
Dan Weagle,
Yes.
Larry Weeks,
Yes.
Patrick Ziegler.
And yes. Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 26-C-SUBD-1.
Now, before you move on, this goes to city council. We're just making a recommendation to city council, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
I will get this certified this week, and I expect it to be at city council on Tuesday night, not tomorrow night, but a week from tomorrow night.
The 14th.
That's the 14th, at 6 p.m. at City Hall. So.
This is your notice.
Yeah. Well, yes. Thank you.
Okay, 26-C-SUBD-1. Michael and Marybeth Johnson, 2-lot subdivision, Johnson Meadows, 508 and 510 East Van Buren Street in Columbia City. Nathan?
Thank you, Mr. President. So, bringing up these. This is a 2-lot replat to be called Johnson Meadows of 508 and 510 East Van Buren Street, which are lots 2 and 3 of block 13 of the first edition. First edition was a very large subdivision. The property is improved with a dwelling and full building one on each lot. The overall plat is a 2-lot replat to take those 2 lots, reconfigure the shape of them, to include the adjacent vacated alleys. One alley has been vacated for some time. The other that alley was vacated about a year ago. The pole building is proposed to become a business pending a rezoning at a later date. The proposed finger on the lot that the pole building is on is intended to provide access to a loading door on that pole building. It made sense to make sure that they have access to that as a business, and that's the big reason for the shape of the lot. As you can see on the table, the zoning code minimums are compliant. So highlighted in blue are the 3 parcels in question. These are tax parcels. So you've got closer view. The western one is the one with the dwelling on it. The eastern one has the pole building, and the vacated alley is here. You also have half of the vacated alley, east-west alley here as well. There is a utility easement that still remains as part of this vacated alley, and that would not be changed. Oblique view showing the view from the west, and you can see here that loading door that's important for maintaining access if and when this becomes a business. So the plat area is proposed. So lot 1 gains most of the vacated alley in between the 2 lots. Lot 2 gains this area here, as I said, for access to that loading door. I do recommend, or I do suggest anyway, that potentially there be an ingress-egress or some other sort of mechanism, some easement for lot 1 to still use this area, just because they naturally will. And at some point in the future, it's likely that these will be in not common ownership and not related ownership. So that would just help ease tension, in my opinion. Not going to make it a requirement or even suggest as a requirement, but past practice, I would make that recommendation. So, proposed plat overlaid on the aerial. Builder's marks over here. They did have some questions and concerns. They've talked to us a couple times. It's my understanding that most of their concerns were just about maintaining access to this parking lot, which is access through the existing alley, which will not be changed. So going to the proposed conditions, 1, standard condition of addressing any remaining outstanding comments from the reviewing agencies. 2, the recommendation to potentially add an easement or a covenant or something to address that potential conflict. And number 3 is standard condition of secondary plat approval to staff. Any questions for me?
Yes. If that becomes a business, where will the customers park?
That is a
future question for future meetings.
We could leave it at that, but the lot area, the intention would be that it would be coming off of Buren Street. I'm not sure whether it would have a shared driveway here or a separate driveway, but there is a pretty substantial area here that would be used for parking.
Is the alley coming off of Van Buren today, is that the driveway for the Michael Johnson property? Yes, right there. They're right there.
So I believe they do have some parking area up here, and the petitioner can confirm that, and then they do have a garage off the back alley as well.
Any other questions for Nathan? Okay, this time petitioner's representative, please come forward.
Good evening, my name is Michael Johnson, and this is my wife Marybeth Johnson. We live at 1837 East Kaiser Road, out in the country. We bought this last year. My son and his wife would like to buy the house, and we wanted to keep the barn. For right now, it's just storage, but maybe in the future we'll put a business in there. So we're just trying to get it so that we can access that door as he was talking about, and Nathan was talking about, if we have a future business, so we can unload and load things in and out of there. As far as the parking, we had discussed possibly putting an entrance at the front of that lot that he was talking about. And we already talked to Wygens. They said we could get a 12 lot parking area in there, so that would be big enough for a small business. So, but at this time, we don't know for sure what we're doing. Yeah, it's a big if. So we're not sure what we're doing, but we do want to have access to the door in the back. So there's parking area back there for a couple of cars, and the garage has a couple of wide spaces for vehicles to park there, as well as the driveway. The vacated alley does have a driveway right now going into the front. So if you have any questions for us, we'll try to address that.
So the loading dock area that you mentioned, what size trucks are you planning on, or would you have any idea?
I believe it's a 12-foot tall door, so it'd be like a box truck basically.
You wouldn't have
No
semis.
semi. No, I don't believe you could get a semi in there because there's a pole, light pole right there, and so you have to kind of get around that. So I think it'd just be a box truck type vehicle. You can see the light pole right there at the corner, and that's about where the line would be for the driveway going into the loading dock.
And once again, it is a big if on that part. We're getting older, we don't know. But it's been a dream that we've had for a while. But the other thing I do understand is that's how it used to be, is those two plots with the alley. There used to be a house there. Then the owners that they bought, the one that had the house, they actually tore down that house and built the pole barn. And then because of NIPSCO charging a commercial if it was separate, they decided to put it together as one property. Now we just want to change it.
Questions for it? Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's any public comment, we'll open that up at this time. If you are in favor of this proposal, please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none. If there's any opposition, same thing, please come forward, state your name. Don't have any of that either. So there's no rebuttal. We'll close the public portion at this time and turn it over to the board for your discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion for the approval of 92C-SUBD-1 with the conditions as stated by Nathan.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by John. Motion to pass 26-C-SUBD-1. Johnson Meadows. We could have a roll call vote, please.
Do we have any discussion on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion.
So I couldn't hear what the exception was for the.
Right there. He said to include those. Those are Nathan's.
So I guess number 2, what's that mean for?
So number 2, that's my recommendation to consider having ingress-egress easement over that finger for the loading dock, because the residence owner will probably be using that area in some fashion. So just to head off potential conflicts, figure out a way to address that now rather than later.
So I mean, are we addressing that, or? No,
Property owner.
It's just a consideration.
It's
Okay.
a consideration recommendation.
Good question.
Any other questions or discussion? Amanda?
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Dickenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Langwell?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Venable?
Yes.
Mr. Warnick,
Yes.
Mr. Weigel,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler.
Yes. 26-C-SUBD-2 Brave Instrument Investments LLC 3-lot subdivision Sunset Meadows, east side of 200 East, approximately 1/3 mile south of Widman Road. Nathan.
Thank you, Mr. President. So going to the slides. SUBD 2 is a 3-lot subdivision called to be called Sunset Meadows on 200 East, 1,800 feet, 1/3 of a mile south of Widman Road. It's 3 lots with dedicated right-of-way. Purpose is to create 3 residential building sites on well and septic. This is outside of city limits, so new wells can be drilled. There are covenants and restrictions submitted, which are reflective of the fact that this is zoned A1. There are provisions for keeping some livestock, but some limitations for livestock as well. So I think that's important that is recognized here, because this isn't R1. This isn't like what's across the road on the west side. This is still A1 and intended to be able to make use of that A1 zoning because of that. Looking at the proposed minimums there, minimum lot size is 80,000 square feet. What is proposed on the plat, amazingly, and kudos to surveyor for hitting this so closely, 80,001 square feet. Minimum lot width of 150 feet is hit on the nose as well, and lot frontage is exceeded. So this is the parent tract involved. You've got 200 East, north, south through the middle of the picture, Widman Road, crossing up here, Cyber Mills farther north. So this is the particular location. You do have residences. I believe this is a platted subdivision off to the west, and then also a couple residences to the south. The location is here. Very straightforward proposed plat. Lot sizes, all the lots are pretty much identical. So this is the proposed location. You'll note that the woods back here are wet. You do have a literal wetland down here, almost certainly, and potentially even farther up into the wooded area. We did receive a couple calls about the concerns about drainage, especially to the field to the east. With this development, at least, drainage generally goes to the southwest corner, where there's a stated concern about the quality of the culvert under 200 East. It tends to get blocked, so that will be one of my recommended conditions to work with County Highway on that. And then the other portion of the lots drain back to this wetland, which eventually works its way down through properties to the south and then to the west. The rest of the parent tract does flow eastward, or at least a portion of it does flow eastward, but these 3 lots in particular do not. So at some point in the future, if this were to be developed, if the parent tract was to be developed, we might be considering drainage a little bit more highly. But these 3 lots, again, they already are 80,000 square feet each, almost 2 acres apiece. And then, again, the drainage tends to flow to the south. Proposed conditions, number 1 is not one that you guys see very often, but it's one that we use as a standard condition of county. And that is that 2 septic sites per lot are to be determined and approved by the health department. They no longer have an ordinance that states that, so they rely on the planning commission to make that a condition of approval to require those 2 septic sites. Number 2 is to work with the county highway department to ensure the adequate drainage through that culvert pipe under 200 East. Number 3, this is a plat. And as we've talked about before, plats require sidewalks. So I leave it up to you. You do have the discretion to waive sidewalks. This is in the jurisdictional area. The nearest sidewalks otherwise are down at Quail Ridge. You do have on the west side of the road the the approved but not yet started bluffs at Cider Mill, which is a major subdivision, but that doesn't have any development, at least currently, along 200. So if we did have sidewalks here, they would definitely be an island currently and probably would be for a while. But I don't want to take away your ability to require that. Again, our position has been to require them unless there's some reason not to have them. And then number 4 is standard condition as well. So any questions for me?
On the septic, if I notice that ground's fairly flat, access to it, if it seems like everything now is requiring a perimeter drain. Will that fall into number 1 if a perimeter drain is required?
That would fall into that condition, yes. 2 sites have to be soil tested and then also approved. Part of that approval would be if a perimeter drain is required through the health department.
I guess, is it different in the city than city jurisdiction and the county? Because I was thinking county, you always had to have that done first before you can even come in front.
So
for a subdivision,
when the state law changed and nullified the health department's ordinance that required that, that was their ordinance to have that in place prior to even considering the plat.
Okay.
Because we have run into issues with timing of soil testing, especially during the winter, we have modified that, and Scott's okay with it, to state that those soil tests have to be done prior to us actually issuing a building permit. Gives everybody a little bit of flexibility while still making that a mandate.
Any other questions for Nathan? Okay, petitioner or representative, please come forward.
I'm David Pine, 5520 Abbey Hill Road, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And my name's Brad Manier, 863 Emancipation Court, Columbus City.
So, yeah, we're proposing to subdivide those roughly 6 acres into 3 lots for building sites, and staying with kind of the area. The homes on the other side of the road are very similar in size and of nature. We have done the soil tests. Scott does have the soil tests, and we've been in conversation with him about perimeter drains and making sure that we address any of those drainage issues with those properties. So we've identified 2 locations per site to make sure all that's in place, and that was done last week, the week before, possibly.
I would like to ask that maybe the board consider removing the sidewalks. My opinion, it doesn't necessarily gain anybody anything. There's really no access for anybody to really walk up and down. Like you said, I think you called it an island, but there's really nothing close to it by any means. So I think it would look kind of odd to have sidewalks out in the country on 2 acres.
Questions?
On the setback, I see it's 40 feet from the right of way. Is that pretty close to what you guys want to do, or do you want to go farther back?
We'll be quite a bit further back than that. It seems it's not quite as flat as what it seems. I thought the same thing until we rode around, but we'll be kind of back up the top. I don't know exactly, Brad. I don't know if you have it, but we're going to be probably 150 feet off the road, right? I mean, it's significant.
Around 150 feet when we walked it, I think is about where we kind of what took it. The third lot, or I guess this would be lot 1, might be slightly closer just by the way it kind of crests up on a hill, but they would all be back quite.
Well, that gives your clients more privacy too.
Yeah, you're talking at least 120 to 150 feet back.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, maybe, I guess I could ask someone. Mike, I was gonna bring it up at some point, which now might be the time. A concern I have is, and I'm not a horse person, but that's awful small piece of ground to allow 2 horses. My feeling. I mean, I've heard a lot of times people talking about, well, each horse should have, you know, depending on if they're in a pasture, you know, it's 2-3 acres a horse in a pasture. So I guess my concern is just the future of having somebody there with, and again, you're not gonna have the whole 1.8 acres for pasture. And if you can't fence in front of the house, that only leaves you a small piece in back. My concern is getting to us a point where you got cruelty to animals going on back behind there, because somebody could have 2 horses back there and not enough room for them to pasture.
And I don't know that we're opposed to that. We just wanted to keep it kind of open.
And I understand.
Still being where your country, but yet trying to put some limitations so it doesn't get out of hand with, you know, people doing things that they maybe shouldn't. And also trying to take into account that, you know, people are going to be, I won't say close, but in the country, relatively close to keeping some restrictions on what you can and can't do as far as the amount of.
I mean, I don't see a problem with, you know, a couple goats, a couple sheep or something like that, but horses, you're getting into a bigger animal, you know, and where are they going to ride them at? It's, you know, that's just my concern with the horses. I don't know if anybody else has a concern with that.
So, in the county, we use animal units to make the distinguishing factor. If you're over the minimum 80,000 square feet in size, then there's no limit on the number of livestock. If you're at 80,000 square feet or smaller, you're limited to 1.25 animal units per acre. And horses are 1 animal unit. So if you do the math, you wind up with almost, but not quite, 2 horses. We'd round it up to basically being 2 horses. So if you had an 80,000 square foot lot in the county's jurisdiction, zoned AG, you could have 2 horses and still be zoning compliant. I'm not going to venture into the animal cruelty part of it, but zoning compliant.
Well, and again, you're talking, a barn's gonna take up space, the house is gonna take up space, the house, you know, so now you're not using, you can't really use the 1.8 acres for your math on that.
No, the math was inclusive of that. It's total lot area. So it was, that was known when we made those changes. So yeah.
Nathan, is this AG or is this R1?
This is zoned A1.
A1.
It's the city's jurisdiction which uses A1.
I thought it was kind of humorous with the chickens. You only allow 6 chickens. We deal with chickens all the time in the city. So I just ain't never.
It's our standing joke.
Standing joke with us.
So if it's ever annexed, they gotta get rid of their chickens.
I don't know. I just thought that was
pig.
Yeah.
Again, we're just trying to keep it within reason. You know.
Well, I know there's chickens on the other side of the road. I know Paul very well. And he's got a roost and he's got quite a few chickens that were on the other side of the road. So.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
Did Mr. Langlow get his question answered?
I don't know if it was really a question, it was just kind of a.
It was a discussion, but I don't know. Was there a direct question? We'll be happy to answer. If the board or whoever would so choose and say, hey, yeah, we think you should have one, we don't have a problem with that, I guess is.
Well, in some cases, you might have a 4-H person get out there that maybe want to
that's
take care
kind
of
of
a
the
cow
idea.
or a.
Oh no, can't do that. It says
Can't
right
do
there,
it.
No cattle.
Cows are not on there.
No cattle.
Oh, I thought there were 2 cows.
No. Cows are not.
Oh, okay,
We
no
tried to
cows.
keep it with.
Say no is art.
That's right.
The smell and stuff, we tried to limit it to.
You know what happens.
Yeah, that's right, I read that.
What's the limit of number of deer you can have?
Probably quite a few. I don't know if we can limit that.
I live in town and I had 9 in my yard this winter.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's, we'll open up the public portion of this. If there are anyone that would like to speak against this project, please come forward, state your name and address at this time.
My name is Taryn McCullough, and my property is just south of where everything's going to be building. So that where that white barn is, that's my property. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily oppose. I just had some questions. I agree. I think the sidewalk would look pretty stupid, to be honest. It's out there in the country, and that'd be the only place with a sidewalk. But another concern that I had is, now I don't know where it's at, but there is a bald eagle in that area. And during their, I think during their egg times or whatever, I don't know how they do it, but I would be concerned about them being disturbed by building. Has anything like that been addressed? How it's been affecting the wildlife?
I've never heard of that myself, and I don't know. I can't answer that one. I'm not a wildlife.
Well, the reason why I asked is because my son is in this. He does this kind of stuff. And he was saying that there's a certain time of year where the eagles will lay. And so during that certain time of year is when you can't be building because they're going to be laying their eggs at that time. So that would be my concern. You know, don't interrupt that natural cycle of these eagles that's in the area. Like I said, I don't know if it's in that woods behind there, but it's in this area somewhere because we've seen it several times. And of course, the other thing I had a question again to address was the drainage. With my property, everything drains down and it almost looks like a river because there's a little area that dips down like this on the property and everything drains down that way. So like just this past week when we got all that rain, the road was completely flooded over. Everything was flooded over because everything just drains right down into that one corner. So I would be concerned, and it does slope up where they're wanting to build. That area kind of slopes up, and so you can't actually even see the back of the field from the road because of the way it slopes up. So I would want to make sure that there's not going to be any additional draining onto my property because right now it's already bad enough. And so
where the wooded area is, where you see that dark green down, is that kind of a ravine back there?
Do you mind? Okay, so there is it's not really a ravine, but from the field here, it all kind of drains down this way. So all this right in through here is still wet.
But what about back there?
Back here, this is all like a swamp. Yes, this is all wet.
All right.
Yeah, it's a natural wet.
Natural wetland, okay.
Yeah. So when we get, it always I would say, probably actually I took pictures the other day in case you guys wanted to see the way that it floods really bad. All through here, and then it drains into my neighbor's yard, and this right here is all flooded. So, I mean, the drainage right now is already bad. I just don't want to see it get any worse. And then, did I understand it right where you guys said it was only going to be one house on each lot, correct? Okay, because when this first came out, I was thinking that it was going to be a subdivision, like a whole housing division. I'm like, wait a minute here. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem. I just want to make sure there's certain things that are addressed. The draining, the wildlife, and so forth. There are a lot of deer, back in our woods, as well as the woods back there, as well as a lot of turkeys. Wild turkeys running all over the place. And there are, I haven't seen them in a while, but back there in the swamp, we have a lot of turtles. And they will cross over, kind of that way. into across the road into there's another like water area over there. So I just don't want to see wildlife getting disturbed because of it.
So one of Nathan's things that he said that we should look at is work for the petitioner to work with the county highway on that culvert that goes under the road, which may alleviate some of the drainage issues, although there's water everywhere.
Right.
Because we got 6+ inches of rain.
You're right.
In
Yeah.
a short amount of time.
Right. And I understand that.
And I work at Purdue Fort Wayne on the grounds crew, and I can tell you that there's bald eagles that sit along the river on campus every day. So I don't know what their cycle is. I'm no eagle expert.
Right.
But the students and all the activity on campus doesn't seem to bother them. So.
Now, I think construction's a little bit different though. I mean, you're making a lot of noise, and so that's where I would.
I looked it up. If it's confirmed nest, you can't build between December and like July.
Okay, that's what I was wanting to know.
But it needs to be a confirmed nest.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure because I know, like I said, I know it's back there. I just don't know where because I don't want to disturb it either. So, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Just let's not disturb the wildlife when it comes to that. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yeah. That actually happened at Purdue once. They confirmed it. No, thank you. And had to block it off. Anyone else speaking against? Okay, hearing none. Anyone that would like to speak for the petition? Hearing none. Like, you have 5 minutes to rebut anything that's been said. If you wish.
I think we're in agreement. We want to protect the environment as best we can, but homes that have space and like other homes in the area.
I don't know if this is a question for them or maybe for Nathan, but on your restrictions, you mentioned the association reserves the right to require repair or removal. But I don't see anywhere where it states there's going to be an association. Is that typical that in the restrictions we put there will be an association?
You mean the code? I would say
covenant, covenants restrictions.
I'd say in this case they probably need to clean that up. I'm guessing the language is probably pulled from another covenant.
So yeah, I didn't know if you plan on having an association or not. Okay. So then should that be in the covenants and restrictions? That an association will be set up?
I'm going to defer to the commission. How strongly do you feel association is needed for these 3 lots to enforce these covenants?
I think the fact that this is one property owner that's selling that off, that there's probably going to be an eventual additional sell-offs, and that they would all be concurrent, so that restriction covenants should be part of this. I mean, okay, I don't see a problem with no sidewalk, but I can see where other parcels are going to be developed in time, whether it's going to be this method or something else, that they should be concurrent with a covenant restriction guideline and association.
I guess my question was more of if they plan on having an association, should it be in the restrictions that there's going to be one? Because
I think you put that in the restrictions and take the sidewalk out.
Agreed.
Yeah, from my understanding of what the petitioner just said, it sounds like they intend to have an HOA, so I would agree if that's their intention, then the covenant should reflect that. If it's not, then that's pretty common as well, and everything should align one way or the other.
Because I know Brad's familiar. I mean, we've had plenty of subdivisions that were supposed to have an association and ended up, it wasn't in the restrictions that there was going to be a mandatory one, and then.
So it should be said, so sure.
We'll do that.
It's in the plans of how we're going to.
Watch that, right.
Yeah.
I live in a subdivision that's supposed to have an HOA, we don't.
Make it no second.
We don't have an HOA. in our subdivision. We don't have anybody
So
who
I
goes
guess-
to.
Are we planning on changing the city limits? Are we gonna extend the city limits out? No.
No,
Okay.
annexation is a voluntary annexation, the way things work, and we have, I mean, in the greater scheme of things, we, way past I'm dead, okay, maybe, but
Mhm.
I would say the only way you can annex anything right now is a voluntary annexation.
Okay. Okay.
I would say
And
no.
it has to be contiguous to the city limit,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Can't be spots.
we're in that area.
Right,
but
we're in the area, but
we're in
not-
the area,
not-
but
We
Okay.
don't have a
Right. It's not adjoining.
we don't have that, so.
And I guess I'm really concerned about the drainage. You know, what's the proposed plan to fix that? If we're gonna put housing in there.
Well, that's why they have one of the criterias. Number 2 is to work with the highway department. To
So we
ensure
don't
that-
know exactly yet.
Right, they still have to work through that with the county.
Okay. So will we be notified what they plan on doing?
We don't have any say so for the county. We can't tell them
Okay.
what to do.
Right, and shit.
Okay.
Okay.
But what we have in the criteria is letting them know that they have to do their due diligence and work with the county department.
Okay.
Nathan will know because the secondary plat approval will be done by him and his staff, so they'll have a drainage plan with it.
Okay.
Because they handle city and county.
Okay. Okay. Alright, thanks.
Okay, hearing nothing else, close the portion of public, and I think I already asked if you want to review.
I'll make a motion that we accept petition 26-C-SUBD-2 with the criteria of the septic sites being approved and the county highway working with them, removing the sidewalk and putting in new covenants, and second plat approval by Nathan and Amanda.
And
Second.
and also the guidelines for the
HM.
yeah
HOA.
the HOA, yeah.
What?
I said that.
He
didn't
said
I?
it. He did.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
included that.
He said covenants as a shorthand. I think that's what
Yeah.
All right.
Any further discussion?
It was either me
Give it
or
to anybody.
Dennis. I'll take it, or if you want it, Dennis.
Take it.
Okay.
Dennis.
Motion by Chip, second by Nikki. Roll call vote, yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Kissinger,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Ms. Venable,
Yes.
Mr. Warnick,
Yes.
Mr. Weagle,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Zucker.
Yes.
Brooke started that.
Nathan, other business.
We still have another
We have
plat
another-
show.
Soon.
Oh, I'm skipping over that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
It was on your side.
26-C-SUBD-3.
I got popcorn.
Randolph Plew, one lot subdivision, EE edition, 1150 west, 150 north.
I move that we table that one because of lack of presence of the petitioner.
I think his representative is here.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Nathan.
Okay, I'll go through this one quickly for you. One lot plat, to be called EE edition, at 1150 west, 150 north. This is also in the jurisdictional area, currently improved with business and agricultural buildings. I believe the business is not in operation right now, but could be. It is zoned I1 light industrial because of the historic use. What is being proposed is one lot plus the dedicated right-of-way for 150 north, in order to split that I1 zoned area away from the surrounding tillable acreage. You can see there that the zoning code minimums are met. Going to aerial view, highlighted in blue is the parent tract. 150 goes east-west through the middle of the picture. I included zoning, which I usually don't for subdivisions, just for your reference to show that we do have this little block of I-1 surrounded by whole bunches of A1 and then also AG immediately to the north and northwest, just because it felt like it was important enough, it was odd enough to show.
Do we have much of that where there's a zoning piece that is not an actual parcel? That there's just piece of it?
Yes. Yeah, both city and county zoning codes allow for parts of properties to be zoned independently. Some zoning codes do not. Our codes do for various reasons, and there's pros and cons both ways.
So does this lot then meet exactly what the zoning is?
It's awfully close. I didn't measure exactly, but it's really close.
Did the neighbor survey this correctly? Okay, all right.
It would be close enough that in the future I would probably consider them one and the same. There is interpretation rules in the zoning code that if it looks like it should follow a property line, it follows a property line.
Okay.
So
I just didn't know if that bled over into what was left and what that would mean in the future.
yeah, it's a great question. It'd be close enough that I think the interpretation would be it would follow the property lines.
That would just be zone the I and the rest would still be A1.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit closer view here showing the actual buildings in question, the proposed plat. Plat over the aerial, and again, you can compare that with the zoning, so it's really close. This does have one unusual condition in it, that the health department had said that the existing buildings do have a bathroom in there, and they would be okay with continuing to use it. However, at some point in the future, an upgraded septic system will need to be needed to be approved by the health department. So that recommended condition is number one. Number two is the standard condition. If by chance this usage gets rezoned, is used for residential, at that point, following their standard guidance, we'd have to have that 2 septic systems. Number one doesn't require 2 septic system sites. Number 2 does, because residential would have more need for that in the long term. Number 3, again, similar situation. Our position is to require sidewalks unless sidewalks are deemed not necessary. And number 4 is standard condition for minor plats. So any questions for me?
Oh, yeah. Any other questions for Nathan? Dishner.
My name is Ryan Pepler with Walker and Associates at 112 West Van Buren Street, Columbia City, Indiana. We were asked to split off the property that consists of the 2 barns, shops, and the grain bins. The outline of the, I don't have the exact measurements of what was rezoned to I-1, but it roughly follows the outline of what that was intended. Sits up on top of the hill. The remaining tracts are going to be continued to be farmed. I don't have a whole lot to say otherwise than that. I'm here for questions though, if you have any. And if anyone else.
Any questions? Thank you. There's nobody left in the public, so we don't have to take any comments. So what is that?
So I'm kinda like the last, I don't think we need sidewalks.
That is correct.
I don't need it. Not there.
I think we need them.
I wanna see a chain link fence with concertina
Well,
wire, and I wanna see an enclosed dumpster facility. And And I also I wanna also see an enclosed area where the grain dump hole is at,
You can't have chickens.
Well,
You
time.
can have a goat.
Out of control.
I make a motion to approve 26-C-SUBD-E Plew. I don't know if I
-3.
Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. With conditions of the staff report.
Minus
The sidewalks.
Second.
Ooh. It's like.
Wow.
Well, let's give it to
Give it to
Leslie.
her.
Yeah.
Get her
Plus
on.
you
And
put
she
Vicky in
was-
the corner.
Yeah, you better get in the corner. Okay, motion by Randy. Gee, it's getting late. Motion by Chip.
We get beat up by that person.
Second by Leslie. Let's show of hands. Everyone in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign.
Mark it down, move it
Any
up.
other business?
Under reports, I already mentioned it. We do have a meeting next month for the purpose of considering the new comprehensive plan. It will be available for public review starting April 15th. So basically at least 2 solid weeks of public review availability. The steering committee members have seen it. As I said, it is an update. Keeps the same format, but there are some definite changes in order to make the usability a bit better and to address some things that just weren't thought of 10 years ago or so. So
The city council has the ultimate say so, right?
right, the process is similar to rezoning. The comprehensive plan goes through the planning commission first. You give a recommendation to the city council. However, unlike rezoning, you don't have an unfavorable recommendation because the comp plan is your own thing. So if you're not happy with it,
Redo it.
you need to keep working on it. So you basically, otherwise you forward it on to the city council and they formally adopt it then by resolution. So that is one thing. Number two, we are working out the upcoming training sessions in June and August, and I bring these up because they're both going to be, the June one's going to be kind of a fun one. So, well,
You're all fun, Nathan.
Chip is going to lead it. I'm volunteering Chip to lead it. I won't give you too many details, but it should be one that will be interesting to many people. So go ahead and if you weren't already planning on that being on your calendar, please make that
And that's the June.
noted. That's the June one. I believe it's June 29th. But more importantly, the August one, which is August 30th, if I recall correctly, that is going to be, unless I'm told I can't do it, that is going to be a 4 or 5 way public hearing between all the jurisdictions in order to meet the requirements of the state statute to hold a public hearing over housing standards. That is from House Bill 1001 to hold a public hearing to discuss those standards prior to the end of the year and then report back to the state. So with what the findings are.
So you're gonna have that at the school with a buffet for us or something, or what?
We will make those determinations later. We may have to change venue, you're correct, just because not so much that I'm concerned about the public being in attendance, although we will invite stakeholders for sure. General public may or may not have a lot of interest in it, but realtors, developers, others, surveyors, yeah, I don't know.
That moves at the Eagle Glen now, right?
So it's, but with having at least 4 jurisdictions between all of the elected officials, all the planning commissions, and not for just BZA members, and then potentially also inviting Larwell as well to one. It's uncertain whether this public hearing actually applies to Larwell or whether it only applies to those entities with zoning. So it's going to be a very large group, and we should have quorums for each one of the boards as well. So,
Should have.
yeah, otherwise the public hearing for that jurisdiction
done.
won't count, and they will have to hold their own, and that'll be, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to have one large one, and importantly, you all can start talking amongst yourselves and saying, how can we work together on housing? How can we make things streamlined? Is it important for one community to do it one way versus another, and so on? So I'm perhaps being a little idealistic at this point. It's still only April, and I'm talking about something at the end of August, but...
And we never have worked together really well.
Right. So again, put that one, one's much more critical than the one in June, but June's, again, kind of fun. I don't have anything yet for November, but November may be, it may be, I do have one or two other ideas, but June and August are definitely ones that I would appreciate as many people as possible being at, and especially the August one. So those are my updates from and reports.
I'm moving adjourned.
Second. We are adjourned.
Thank you all.
I have to second that.